voices, and when the day is done, glory in the highest, glory in each lowly one, glory in the morning, glory in the setting sun, glory in the morning, glory in the setting sun. There's no glory in the battle, nor the barrel of a gun. There's no glory in killing, no war victory to be won. But there's glory in the highest, glory in each lowly one, glory in the morning, glory in the setting sun, glory in the morning, glory in the setting sun.
Our guest today is someone by the name of Zsa Zsa, and the last name is not Gabor. She is sharing with us a subject that is not very well known by many of us. Hello, I'm Brett Carlson. Welcome to Brethren Voices. When the phrase spiritual direction is mentioned, the mind instantly searches for an answer. And if you come up with the correct answer, you are probably in the minority. Today we have with us Zsa Zsa Janine Christopher. Zsa Zsa, welcome to Brethren Voices.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here with you.
Very nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Zsa Zsa, you have been described as a person who completed a 3-year training program in spiritual direction with the Sisters of St. Joseph, Orange County, California. And you also graduated with a BA in theology at Loyola Marymount University. You received the highest honors of having the highest grade point average of the theology students in your class at the time of your graduation. I'm presuming that few of us know about spiritual direction, but how did you choose that major in theology?
When I was attending LMU, I had entered LMU as a business major. And my husband Daniel said, "Why are you taking these classes? You don't even enjoy these business classes." That comment gave me the freedom to play around a bit at LMU, take different courses. I took an art course, a communication course, an education course, just whatever I wanted to do. And I stumbled into a spirituality course. And that just felt right. It felt like coming home. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And then it was a few years after I graduated when one of the sisters at LMU came to me and said that I would be a really good candidate for the spiritual direction program with the Sisters of St. Joseph in Orange County. It's a process that you have to go through. You have to interview with the people who run the program.
So it's a totally separate
Yes.
study and organization. One is the university, and then the other is a specialized thing.
Correct. And it was, they actually prefer you to be a little bit older when you enter the program because you've had a little more life experience and you've had a little more time to start looking into your relationship with God, going a little bit deeper. So it was a wonderful experience. But when she was explaining to me what the program was, I just looked at her and said, "I have no idea what you're talking about. I have never even heard of spiritual direction or a spiritual director. I don't know what they do, but okay, on your recommendation, I will go and look at this school because I love spirituality. I love reading spirituality books, and this sounds like it would be right up my alley. So in many ways, I was like some of your listeners who have never even heard of spiritual direction.
I'm so amazed. So your studies of theology took you to this totally unknown direction, and you got your feet into that,
Yeah.
and you actually followed through.
Yeah.
A totally additional 3 years of study?
Yes, 3 years of study, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I loved it.
So the definition, according to some, of spiritual direction is a practice of companionship and guidance in which one person helps another to pay attention to God's presence in their life. So it's not counseling or therapy, it's something totally different. Could you describe it in your own words? Is the definition close, or how would you describe what you do?
Okay, well, first I would like to say that if you asked several spiritual directors what is spiritual direction, you're going to get some variation on what it is. There's no one right answer. There's no one right way to answer that, but the answers would be similar. And for me, what I would say it is two people who are committed to growing their relationship with God. They're companions together, and we're journeying to seek a deeper meaning in life and connection with God. And during spiritual direction, what we're looking for is, where is God present in their life? That's what we're looking for.
I really, really think talking about God and a relationship with God is maybe one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. But it's not something that we do in an organized way, I think. So you bring some organization and some process and structure to that search for meaning in life that we all kind of dance around, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, we have to be at the right stage, though, for that. When we're younger, it's about us, it's about having fun, it's about new relationships. You have to be at a place where you've lived a little bit and you feel God, inviting you into a deeper relationship. God is calling you, and you need to be ready to respond.
One of the parts of the definition had to do with be open to God's presence in your life. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, because when you're preoccupied with so many other things, there's probably not too much time or room to think about those things.
Right. And you mentioned the difference between counseling or therapy and pastoral therapy or pastoral counseling. The difference, those two subjects, therapy and pastoral therapy or pastoral counseling, they deal with the growth of the person. And spiritual direction is dealing more with a deeper dimension. We're ready to go deeper into our relationship with God. Whereas the other counseling deals with the psychological tools. Pastoral counseling will do the same thing, but they will add in religious tools to that mix. But spiritual direction, again, is dealing with the deeper issues.
When you're dealing with the deeper issues, I assume that each person that enters into spiritual direction kind of has a unique set of relationships or set of thoughts or encounters with God. And so your work is always going to be, I guess, I'll ask the question, is your work always changing with the person that you're in a relationship of direction with?
Well, each person comes with, I'm going to say, our own baggage throughout life, right? A lot of our injuries happen when we are younger, and we take that throughout our life with us, and it shows up in different ways in different places in our life. So someone would come to me, and they might have control issues because their father was controlling. And so they are now controlling, and I'll be presenting issues like, well, have you talked to God about this situation? What does God say? I'm always trying to turn the conversation back to God. So each person is going to be unique with their own set of issues. But how I respond is I'm always going to be trying to, whatever the issue may be, bring them back to where did you see God in your life in this last month? Or can you speak more to the issue that you're having, so that we can help them understand who they are? Because once we can understand who we are and what our issues are, we can give it to God, find some healing, and move on so that we can grow in that deeper relationship. So in the beginning, there could be some issues that, I mean, even throughout the time, I've been working with people for years, and sometimes these issues pop up even in my own life, you know. Things pop up again and again, and you realize, oh, that's you again. Okay, please God, help me heal from this. Help me give this to you so I can be my best self and face the world with my best self so that I can help other people as well.
I want to go back because you just opened a door that I think is fascinating.
Okay.
How in the world did you train? What did you do for those 3 years in training to be a spiritual director?
Okay, so what the program entails is a lot of classes, a lot of reading, writing book reports, writing module reflection papers on the different speakers who come in and speak to you. And then at the end of 3 years, you have a research paper that you have to do. So a lot of great classes, and I can speak to some of those if you'd like. But
Well, first of all, did you have to go through spiritual direction as part of your training in those 3 years?
spiritual directors are in spiritual direction.
Okay.
Because it's a lot to hold on to, listening to people, and sometimes there's a lot of trauma, and we need to be able to process that as well. But also, when we are working with a directee, it's I am actively listening to their story, but I have one ear listening for the Holy Spirit to guide me. And there could be something said in that session that triggers me in a good way or a bad way. Or there could be something that I hear a question that I need to ask this question. So I ask this question, and all of a sudden that opens the floodgate to something. And I think, wow, where did that come from? But also, I might hear something, and as I'm saying it to the directee, which is the person who has showed up for a spiritual direction, I might be hearing myself say this and realize, I think that question was for me. And my job as the spiritual director is to set that question aside, so after the session is done, I can sit with God and talk about that. And then when I go to direction, to my own direction, I can say, hey, this came up when I was working with the directee, and we can talk about it.
So you, at this point, have a mentor or a spiritual director yourself.
I do.
Who you're in communication with. And
Yes.
a lot of us recognize we have voices in our head. Sometimes it's nonsense, sometimes it's things that are distracting, sometimes it's voices of wisdom and pearls, and sometimes it's really not helpful, judgmental voices. And sometimes it's the Holy Spirit, or could be the Holy Spirit. How do you sort those things out, or how do you learn to do what you were just talking about? How do you learn to sort those different voices out?
Well, for me, I'm a Christian, so I would be listening to the voice that sounds most like Jesus. Okay, it might be different for somebody else, somebody who might be listening to the voice that sounds like Buddha. But I think there's some truth in all religions, and I think that if it seems counter to what is good, what is healthy, it's not the right voice you should be listening to. If in Ignatian spirituality, we talk about consolation and desolation. If it feels like desolation, I don't think that's the right voice you should be listening to. And of course, the Quaker way is you can go and talk to elders. Hey, I heard this. Does this sound right to you? And, the elders can confirm, no, or yes, that sounds, we affirm that.
I'm very interested in how to discern the difference of the voices inside. And one of the struggles I had is I have a lot of parental messages that are very judgmental from my childhood. And when I was hearing those kind of things as I'm growing up and an adult, I was trying to decide what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to pay attention to those things or not? And someone in a spiritual direction mode, whether they were a director or not, said, if it's judgmental and critical, it's probably not coming from God. And that's been very helpful to me.
Yeah.
And it's aligned with kind of what you're saying. Is it the
Right.
voice of Jesus?
Right, right. So the number one question, the first question I ask somebody who's coming for spiritual direction is, what is your God like? Okay, for me, my God is a loving God. But is your God a loving God? Is your God a judgmental God? Is your God a punishing God? Because that needs to be dealt with. Because God is love. So where did you get those images from? And that goes back to childhood, right? So that has to be dealt with either in counseling, some sort of therapy. But God is love. So as you're saying, if your God is judgmental and punishing, that's not God. So whatever the answers that you're being told, if they sound judgmental and punishing, that's not God.
I agree with you, but I also realize that a lot of people do have those punishing, critical visions of God. So how often do you run into someone who says, my God's not loving, what are you talking about? That's not the way I see it, or that's not my experience. Are you able to persuade most people that God is love?
They have to be willing to look at it.
Okay.
They have to be at a place that they're willing to look at it. I will ask, where do you think that comes from? Is there anybody else in your life who acts the way you're acting in this situation? Or whose voice are you hearing right now? There's some questions that you can ask people, and they might say, oh my gosh, that's my father's voice I'm hearing, or that's my mother's voice. And then you start realizing, see, that is not the voice of God. So that can help.
You're very good. You're very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
We did a little homework on this subject, and
Okay.
Richard Foster of Christianity Today framed spiritual direction around 7 guiding questions. Foster defines spiritual direction as an interpersonal relationship in which we learn how to grow, to live, and to love in the spiritual life. Zsa Zsa, can you share with us what do you do with that? Do you think that's accurate? Does it kind of fall into the same framework as your experience?
I think in the fast-paced time in which we live, it's vital. It's vital to slow down and be present. Whether that be centering prayer, sitting in silence, meditation, all of that is good. But we want to slow ourselves down to be present so that we can then allow God to make these subtle changes in us. It's when we're sitting in silence that these subtle changes can be made. And when we're done with the silence, we can go out and face the world, but we have a little more peace, a little more love in us, a little more grace to share with other people. So let's say a colleague comes up and he snaps at you, I want this paperwork done now, and you feel, well, gosh, that was uncalled for. But if you haven't taken time to sit in silence, you might say something snarky back to that. And that just sort of adds to the drama of life. And do we want to do that? We don't. So sitting in silence is a big thing, and that's where God can make the changes. Now, I realize I run into directees who say, I can't do that. And I recognize that because that used to be me. When my husband and I were first together, and he took me to his home church, which is the Quaker church, and he told me, now, after the sermon and everything, there's going to be a time of silence. So just be prepared for that. Okay. So that time came, and there I am. I'm sitting in silence, and my mind is going, silence, yes. Did I remember? No, 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 sit in silence, yes. Okay, today at the grocery store, I need to get, no, no, sit in silence. Right. It was crazy. I couldn't do it. So what I recommend is for those who are struggling with a racing mind, you just can't slow it down, just try 1 minute. Just get through 1 minute. Just breathe. And then go for 3. And then build to 5 until, you work up to 20 minutes. Sometimes, when you're doing it long enough, I can be sitting there and 45 minutes will go by. And it is just heaven. And then I can have other days where I'll sit there and 5 minutes are like, I got to start my day. There's so much I got to do. But we got to make the effort. We got to make the effort.
Do you usually meet in person with people or on Zoom or on the phone?
Well, initially I was going to meet in person. Then COVID happened. So I finished my my training on Zoom because of the COVID situation. And then we were able to come together to do the actual graduation. So I have never actually had a directee one-on-one in person other than when I was doing training with other students. So I do all my my spiritual direction on Zoom, and now of course I've moved to Portland from LA, so my directees are in LA. So it's all Zoom.
Well, as you were talking about slowing the mind down, I was just trying to follow you and do that, and I didn't have a minute, but I probably had 30 seconds when I was just quieting my mind, and it is so nice and refreshing to me.
Yeah. In person is better because you get a chance to see the full body. And sometimes when you're talking to somebody, you might notice their hands just tighten up, or their shoulders just, you can see these physical things happening, and then you'll be able to say, I noticed that your hands are really squeezing together. What's going on? What's going on right now? What are you feeling? And that can help bring out some more information that they need to look at.
How long is a session when you're together?
Sessions are an hour long. It's really about 55 minutes. We wrap up usually with prayer and scheduling for the next month, and then I take those last moments to pray for the person and their situation, and sort of reflect of what went on in the conversation. But it's an hour, set aside an hour.
Richard Foster indicated that as a spiritual director, they often would sit 3 chairs in a spiritual direction session, one for the director, one for the participant, and one for the holy. That 3rd chair is not symbolic, it's a real invitation to the presence of the divine in the conversation. Do you ever do something like that? I did do that for a long time. I also light a candle to remind people that the Spirit is with us. First, I should clarify that even though I am called a spiritual director, I should say, I am not the one directing. It is the 3rd chair. It is the Holy Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit's presence in that session who is doing the directing. And as I've mentioned, while I'm actively listening to the directee talk, I have another ear out listening for the Holy Spirit. What the next question should be, what needs to be said next. A second point that Richard Foster offers is that listening to God is very important. It's about noticing. We listen together, not for certainty, but for the subtle moments of God's presence. Over time, we learn to trust the way the Spirit whispers, not through dramatic signs, but through quiet awareness. You have been talking about that. Exactly that same kind of thing. How do you develop that skill and how do you train others to be listeners to the Creator? Again, I go back to slowing down, being present. Think about the times when you are driving home and all of a sudden you get home and you realize, I don't even remember driving here.
We are so focused on so many things. Our mind is going a mile a minute, and our mind is in the future, and our mind is in the past, but God can only reach us in the present. So it's really important to try as much as possible to stay in the present.
I was listening to you and realizing that that's exactly right. There are so many things going on. It's hard for us to notice something as subtle as the voice of God. From work to family to recreation to sports to all the responsibilities that we have, meeting all the needs of the people around us. Zsa Zsa, thank you for being with us on Brethren Voices. It's so nice to have you take a complicated topic and kind of make it simple for people to understand, and that we could all become more aware of our spiritual connection and the spiritual active listening parts of our lives. So,
Well, I'm very grateful to be here, and I hope that something I said was helpful to your listeners.
I really think it will be. For Brethren Voices, this is Brent Carlson.
And Zsa Zsa Janine Christopher, wishing you peace. Pass it on.
To the one, glory to the Spirit, glory three in one, glory in the highest, glory in each lowly one, glory in the morning, glory in the setting sun. Glory in the morning, glory in the setting sun. The earth and all its fullness and all its daughters and sons belong to the glory and the glory still to come. Glory in the highest, glory in each lowly one, glory in the morning, glory in the setting sun, glory in the morning, glory in the setting